Hello, Dontaye.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dontaye Jennings, president of the Young Democrats of Georgia, and I am extremely proud today to be here as we launch the candidacy of my good friend, my great brother, Dontaye Carter, for mayor of the city of Sandy Springs.
Woohoo!
I'm not going to take up too much time. Kicking it off with my brother real quick. I've been waiting for this campaign for a minute. I've been ready to get to work on this campaign, and now, without further ado, I would like to go ahead and introduce former Principal Goggins from Dunwoody High School. Dunwoody Elementary School.
I'm done with it. Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I'm Ivy Goggins, and I am happy to have been asked to come and share a few words with you today about Mr. Dontaye Carter. I met Dontaye and his beautiful family a few years ago when they enrolled their daughter in pre-K at the Sandy Springs Elementary School, where I served as principal for the past 16 years. I've since retired, but I absolutely wanted to come today to let you know, one, that I'm honored to come and stand before you to tell you about my experience and how I came to know Dontaye Carter. I'll start by telling you that being principal of an elementary school, a Title I school, for so many years was incredibly rewarding and equally challenging. But I absolutely loved it. My staff and I worked hard to create a nurturing environment for our students to ensure that they were learning and achieving success regardless of where they came from. And for those of you who are not familiar with Sandy Springs, our students came from those mini mansions on Spalding Drive, and some of them actually came from temporary housing and hotels in our community and everything in between. Well, as the African proverb goes, it takes an entire village to raise a child. And I realized long ago that the work of educating and inspiring children was much bigger than myself and my staff could do without the help of our community. So we sought a lot of support from the community. And one of the things, even after all the support that I had, one of the things that I still needed was to get our dads involved in schools. So I knew that many of my kids came from single parent households, and of course our staff was predominantly female. I wanted our kids to see positive role models in our school, and I also needed a mentoring program to help motivate and inspire some of my older boys before sending them off to middle school. One day after a parent meeting at our school, Dontaye approached me. He said, "Principal Goggins, how can I help you to achieve the goals that you set for your school?" And I told him that I needed a leader to engage the dads at our school, and I needed a group to mentor some of my 4th and 5th grade boys, many of whom struggled both academically, behaviorally, and some who just needed additional support from another person outside of our staff. In recent years, I had asked several male parents for help, but no one had consistently followed through. But Dontaye surprised me. From that single conversation, he got to work on the plan. He stepped up to start our Dads Club. He recruited other dads to show up twice a month wearing their Super Dads t-shirts to take over carpool and morning breakfast duty. They greeted our students twice a month with high fives, huge smiles, and lots of words of encouragement and fist bumps. Their presence was definitely felt, and it allowed our kids and our staff to see that the dads at our school truly cared enough to be a part of our school community. Dontaye also created a boys club. We selected the boys by teacher and staff recommendations and got parent permission. It was a huge success. He and a few other dads met in the gym with the kids, the boys, before school every other Friday morning. The sessions began with free throws, throwing the football around the gym, learning how to tie a necktie, and practicing introducing themselves with eye contact and a firm handshake. But the real magic came from the second part of the session when the boys interacted with Dontaye and the other dads and the amazing guest speakers. These were primarily men who looked like our boys, many from humble beginnings, who Dontaye somehow convinced to take time out of their busy schedules to drive to Sandy Springs at 7:30 on Friday mornings to speak to these boys they had never met before and may never see again. These men included engineers, doctors, entrepreneurs, and even the Georgia president of the NAACP, Gerald Graves. These men shared their stories and encouraged the boys to take school seriously and to pursue their goals. The boys hung on every word from these speakers, and they looked forward to the club meetings. They talked about the club with enthusiasm, and when asked about the sessions, they were often able to quote the speakers verbatim. What Dontaye gave to my school didn't require money. He gave something much more valuable. He gave the gift of his time. He made a commitment to help my kids, and he showed up for them in a way that truly mattered, giving them hope and encouragement. These boys missed their morning assignments on those Friday mornings, but they gained something far more important, a sense of their worth and their value, and an understanding that they could aspire to be as men. We noticed a decrease in their discipline referrals and an increase in their engagement in the classroom. And I attribute that to the work that you did with my boys. Dontaye continued the program long after I left, and I understand that the boys contacted him and asked him to extend the program into the middle school because it meant that much to him. And of course, Dontaye said yes. You see, some people think about stepping up. Some people talk about stepping up. And then there are people who actually do. Dontaye, you may never know. You may not know for many years to come the extent to which the impact that you made, what it had on those boys. What I can tell you is it didn't matter to Dontaye. These were not his children, but he knew that he needed to step up to support the kids at our school, and he did that. And you went above and beyond, and you exceeded my expectations. One day after Boys Club, I ran into Dontaye, and he said, "Is there anything I can do for you?" And I said, "As a matter of fact, we have a child who consistently every day gets picked up from school about an hour late. The mom has to work, and she doesn't have after-school care. I just need some help with that." Dontaye said, "Let me get back to you in a few days." The very next day, Dontaye showed up at the school and said, "Hey, I have someone who's willing to sponsor this child's after-school care for the rest of the school year." That is the type of selfless leadership that is exactly what we need in politics. Someone who listens, acts, and works to address the needs of the community in meaningful ways. Dontaye is a great example of what happens when one person cares enough to take action and is able to enlist the support of others to do the same. He has the ability to galvanize an entire community to support the best interest of everyone. Isn't that what the job calls for? Ensuring that every voice is heard and that decisions are made in the best interest of everyone and not at the expense of anyone. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly." Dontaye has my full support because he consistently proves that his words, are backed by actions, and his only agenda is to make his community better for everyone in it. Vote for Dontaye Carter because I believe he will bring that same action-oriented leadership to the city of Sandy Springs because that's just who he is.
Yay, Dontaye! Dun, 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 dun.
Right. Next to give some amazing words about our boy Dontaye is Melissa Quick, CD chair.
Dun, 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 Melissa!
Yay!
Woo!
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today on this special weekend as we honor the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King in front of the center that bears his name. Now, Dr. King once said, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are we doing for others? Today, I want to emphasize a leader who embodies that question every day, and that leader is Dontaye Carter. privilege of working with Dontaye side by side as community leaders, as change makers, as fairness and freedom fighters. Our collaborative political organizing and collectively listening to our neighbors' concerns allows us to advocate for policies that will better their lives and set their families on a path to success and upward mobility. Mr. Carter is a man who wakes up each morning ready to serve others, often early in the morning to greet elementary school children, mentoring our youth, serving on local school advisory boards, and addressing community needs by finding real solutions to everyday problems. Dontaye leads with integrity and compassion, rooted in fairness and equity, ensuring every voice is heard. He doesn't just talk about change, he works tirelessly to make it happen. Mr. Carter will continue to foster positive, progressive policies that help everyone in our community, regardless of race, religion, ethnic background, or socioeconomic status. I am confident that Dontaye will continue to serve others, not only in the spirit of MLK, but in his remembrance. I look forward to supporting his future endeavors because he is building a lasting legacy that we can all be proud of. A legacy that will benefit small business owners and benefit workers. A legacy that supports the renter and supports the homeowner. One that supports the doctor and supports the patient. He is a bridge builder, and in this time of political division, he can stand in the gap and create unity locally. We must elect leaders who can create unity in our small corners of the world. Our future depends on it, and you can count on Carter because I do. Thank you.
Yay! Woohoo!
Now, without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, the greatest of all time, and your next mayor of the city of Sandy Springs, Dontaye Carter!
Dontaye!
Yeah.
Oh man. Thank you all. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank y'all so much for coming out. I appreciate it. We got Bob over here holding down our tripod as we live stream here, and I just appreciate Bob is somebody that's always showed up. Fran, man, Keith was one of the super dads that you heard about that showed up time and time again. Super appreciate you, man. My ride or die, who is hiding out of the limelight. But man, I was getting quite emotional just kind of sitting back and listening to everybody speak. And I wrote this whole speech, and I had a mentor that called me, and he said, "Speak from the heart, Dontaye." He said, "They need to hear your heart. Speak from the heart. Speak from the heart." And my heart is heavy. My heart is heavy because on this day that is supposed to be a day of reflection for so many Americans, we're having to be reactive. And I say reactive because we live in a city that from the outside is beautiful. We've got the buildings, we've got people, we've got money. It looks good. But as you heard Principal Goggins say, when you start to peel back those layers, you start to see a community in need. That's what this community, that's what this race here is about. It's about the community. I've gotten a lot of calls from a lot of people about, why am I running again? Why? Why, Dontaye? Why are you running again? And it's simple, because the first time we didn't lose. You see, we took an L in the stat sheet, but while folks saw the loss in the stat sheet, what I saw was a community behind me standing up. I had people like Principal Goggins who invited me in and drew me in close and said, "Hey, Dontaye, you're needed." I had folks like my good brother, Dr. Brown, behind me as I've been on this spiritual journey of mine, who's been a light. That light that I've been able to shine has been able to allow me to do the things that we've done here in Sandy Springs. What I want folks to know is, you're going to hear a lot about crime and fighting crime. And listen, you can stand for crime. I mean, you can stand against crime, but also stand for our children. Also stand against poverty. Also make those hard questions, right? being able to make an impact. And it's important for us to do these things because what we're dealing with right now is crime isn't the greatest threat to our community. It's development. We got to be honest about it. Development displaces people. Development creates destruction. This race is about ensuring that each and every citizen in the city of Sandy Springs has a voice. And right now they don't. They don't. And we know that because rent is skyrocketing. When our city council could be taking that extraordinary step of saying we're going to cap it. Instead of just incentivizing corporations, and this isn't about taking shots at corporations, but instead of giving tax incentives to corporations, you could be giving tax incentives to these property owners who own these apartment complexes to incentivize them to make their rent affordable, to ensure that they keep up with their rent. We got a hard goal coming up in the future. We're going to need leaders that care. We're going to need leaders who are love-centered and courageous. It wasn't an accident that we sat back and we thought about this weekend and what it means. It means we need a light. It means we need love. And it means we need people of courage to stand firm and to look into these dark spaces and say, we're not going to tolerate it anymore. That's what this is about. And so I just want to thank everybody for coming out today. Y'all don't know how much this means to me. Like, seriously, to have y'all here. Man, to have James Weaver here. His brothers always showed up. It was important to have real community leaders behind me. It's one thing to have the politicians. It's another thing to have the people. You see the people behind us. This is going to be a people-driven campaign. Too often, politics has become just about power and less about people. We're going to make this about people. We're going to take, again, those extraordinary steps. We're going to cap rent. There's not going to be skyrocketing rent in the city of Sandy Springs. We're going to ensure that we pass legislation that keeps people in their homes. We're going to cap property taxes. We're going to take extraordinary steps. And we're going to make sure that the same way they found land to build that police training center up there, that we're going to have land to build a rec center for our children and a place to build community. Because the only development that I'm concerned about is the development that builds bridges between our community. Development that brings our community together and not pushes them apart. So we've got a lot of work to do, but I'm here. I'm ready to fight. If y'all need to reach out to me, my number is 678-551-1864. You know, we had a lot of developers who reached out in the first campaign and said they had affordable options. Now's the time to talk. Let's look at what we need to do to bring this community forward. Y'all can also reach out to me at Dontaye@DontayeFromMayor.com. I just want to thank y'all so much for tuning in. Thank you all so much for joining. Bob, thank you so much for holding the tripod. We appreciate you so much. I love you all, and let's make it happen. Let's win.
Let's do it.
I don't have much to say, but a campaign costs money and a campaign costs talents. So go to DontayeFromMayor.com and please donate $5, $10, $15, up to $3,300 that you can donate to this campaign. Our first deadline is on the 31st. That's less than 2 weeks away. So I need everyone to pull out their phones, go to that QR code, and go donate some money. Sign up to volunteer. We're going to knock a lot of doors, and we're going to actually talk to the community. Thank y'all so much for coming out. I know it's cold, but thank y'all so much. Have a great day.
Woo-hoo, yeah.